Well, hello, welcome to the very first Q&A for Payroll Solutions Community for accounting professionals. We've got a few people that joined us live today, and we'll start by answering your questions. Who wants to go first? All right, I got one in chat from Michelle. She's signing on her third client, and it's the first one that will have payroll. It's the client's first time having employees, so she is asking lots of questions. She has directed her to consult with the HR and legal services to make sure she is compliant. Is that proper advice? Should she turn to them regarding work comp, or should I be able to help her with that? Michelle, that is good advice. People don't always understand how complex it is to stay compliant with their local and state laws when it comes to hiring employees. A lot of people don't think that they need to have an employee handbook, which is where the HR professional comes in. Sometimes most of the time a payroll service should be able to help, make sure that they have all the compliant pieces in place. Work comp can be purchased a couple of different ways. You can go to a direct agent and purchase your work comp insurance, or you can do the pay-as-you-go work comp that some payroll services offer, and then it's just an extra fee that's added to each and every payroll. But work comp does have an annual audit that you have to do, and that is something that either the bookkeeper can do or outsource that to the payroll company. And if for my payroll clients, I include performing the work comp audit in part of their monthly fee, so that when their policy comes up for renewal, I just go ahead and send them an email requesting a copy of the letter, which usually will have, a temporary username and password, and you can go in there and just complete the audit. They're usually, I shouldn't say that they're super easy to do, but I've done enough of them where they're not difficult for me. Occasionally a client will do something that makes me really question what they're doing. I just received a work comp audit, or when I sent out the email requesting the work comp letter, they sent me two from two different companies that have the exact same period on them. And I'm still waiting for them to get back to me on why they have two work comp companies, because that is not a normal thing. Did I answer your question? Do you have anything you want to add to that, Michelle? Okay, she just said I had not thought about the work comp audit. She'll need to consider that. The lady will only have 2 part-time employees. And for work comp, it's based off of your total payroll. So usually if you have part-time employees, you'll be paying your state required minimum. Is when you get into bigger companies, more complex payroll, that the work comp audit will actually change the amount that is due for that policy period, and it can go either up or down. All right, Darcy just sent me, Michelle, we'll go back and finish your question. So regardless of size, work comp audit is every year. Yes, a work comp audit is required for a couple of different reasons. The insurance company wants to make sure that they're charging the correct amount for the insurance, and because it's based on the amount of your net payroll or your gross payroll. So it simply put, the payroll, if you have a worker that works 10 hours at $10 an hour, their payroll is $100. So that needs to get reported to the work comp company. And then they'll ask either for copies of the 941 or your state unemployment insurance paperwork. That's generally what about 98% of the companies ask for. Some ask for additional information. For example, if you're in construction, you have to provide the work comp, the certificates of work comp insurance for all your subcontractors, because if they don't have work comp and you've hired them to work on a job, a lot of insurance companies are requiring that you pay work comp on subcontractors, regardless of if they have their own business or not, if they do not have a work comp insurance of their own. And that's a totally different topic, which is not related to your question. So we'll probably get into that in a later topic. All right. So Darcy has a question. She has a client who hired her first W-2 employee on July 15th. She would like me to handle payroll, and I've never done it before. Help. If you're not comfortable doing payroll, I always recommend hiring an outside payroll company, because there's so much that goes into processing payroll correctly and compliant and following all the rules, laws, regulations of all the different jurisdictions. And there's a lot of companies out there that you can choose. You can choose Gusto, which has a full service option. Patriot Payroll has a full service option. I own a payroll company and I have a full service option. What is different about what I do is I will provide you with the journal entry to get the payroll out of my system and into your accounting software. And if you have QuickBooks Online, Gusto has a direct link from their service into QBO. And other softwares will send you a payroll summary report that you can create your own journal entry and get that into your software. Does that answer your question, Darcy? Did you have a follow-up? All right, I'm not seeing anything else. Let's see. I don't have any other questions in the chat, so I'm just going to randomly go through the group and find a question that needs to be answered. Nicole in the group is asking, where do you store garnishment documentation? I use Gusto for my clients, and I'm wondering if it is appropriate to store within the Gusto portal. To that, that can be a good idea. I still keep a separate customer portal for all of my bookkeeping and payroll clients, where we shared the document access to the documentation. And the reason that I like to have my own hosted solution is because then you have a little bit more control over what happens with the documentation. Because I don't know specifically about Gusto and their portal and storing documentation in there. I used Gusto briefly for my own firm like 5 or 6 years ago, and didn't feel that it served what I needed the best. So, and I never used their document storage portal. I even though they had where you could have the employees fill out the W-4s and the I-9s and everything on their portal, I still collected that myself from all of my employees so that I had paper copies or hard copies, because you can't see everything that when they fill out on the different portals. All right. So hopefully that answers Nicole's question. Michelle had a follow-up in chat that she will be using Patriot software for her clients. Are there any downsides to using them? No, not necessarily. I think they provide a really good service. They just can't handle anything that's too complex or too big. And for 2 part-time employees, I think that's a really good solution. But with any software that you outsource your payroll to, you still need to know what the taxes are that they're supposed to be paying, and you just know what the rules and regulations are, so that you can, when you get the reports, you can read them and look at them and see if anything is off, so that you can stop a small problem from becoming a huge problem and avoid having your customers get a letter from the IRS or a state jurisdiction saying that, something wasn't filed properly or not filed at all. I've seen where payroll services will pay the payroll taxes and not file the forms. I've seen them where they file the forms and not submit the payroll taxes. You just have to keep an eye on any service that you use to make sure that everything that they're doing is correct. And which is why I started this group, because there's a lot of bookkeepers and accounting professionals out there who do not know how to read those reports or don't want to read the reports. They want to make sure, have somebody else double check them and make sure that everything is correct. All right, Darcy sent another question. I need to give my client a total amount for the payroll check to cut today. Can you guide me on this? What are your service options? Yes, I can guide you on this. I'm hoping, since you have to give her the total to send the checks out today, that you have an I-9 and a W-4 for every employee. Hopefully your customer has already set up their federal tax ID number. I don't know what kind of entity they are, but sole props don't have to set up a federal tax ID number until they need one. But LLCs, S-Corps, Corps, partnerships, they all get set up with a tax ID as part of their setup process. And I can definitely, after we get off this Q&A, Darcy, I will have a couple of minutes where we can chat about your specific situation and make sure that you're giving your customer the best information possible. Oh, good. She says she has all of that information. That'll make things so much better. Let's see. And what are my service options? Oh, Michelle is asking, sole proprietors with employees don't need an EIN, or did I mishear that? That is, I can see where you think that that's what I said. But sole props, just as if they're a sole prop, no employees, and they're just operating their business by themselves, they don't need an EIN. But as soon as they hire their first employee, they need an EIN, and that is a separate, that is something that I can help get set up. All right, and what are my service options? So I will soon have on my website that I can direct people to for this group. But my service options is I have, I offer full service payroll, and that includes the reporting, the deposits, the checks, the work comp audit, everything. So the flat monthly fee is, the retail is $100. And then for each additional employee, it is $10 a month. But for the accounting professionals right now, I am offering either a 20% discount or a 20% affiliate fee. So hopefully I can explain this really good and I don't get you confused. I've been practicing, so we'll see how I do. If you bill your customer directly, then I will bill you the $80 plus the per employee fee. And if you don't want to be involved in the payroll at all and you send your customer to me, quarterly, I will send affiliate commissions out for 20% every month that that customer is a customer of mine for the life of the time that they're with me. So if you send me one customer and they're with me for 10 years, you get 20% every month that they're a customer for that whole 10 years. Okay, let's see. Hopefully I answered your questions. Please shoot me chats or messages if you have anything else you want me to answer. So, all right, I've got one from Jessica. Last year, I used a full service payroll that comes with QBOA to pay independent contractors. I just learned that since then, Intuit has been filing 0 total payroll returns on my behalf. Is it worth wasting my time and calling them about this? Does it hurt me in any way to have these filings? No, I don't think that is something that really needs to be addressed. The only thing that you'll need to make sure that you do is, if the IRS or any state agency sends you a letter saying, questioning what's going on or saying to stop, then I would worry about stopping it. Also, if you don't hire employees and stop having independent contractors, make sure that you file a final return closing out your payroll accounts with every entity that Intuit was filing a return on your behalf. Because once they stop getting returns, even if they're all 0 returns, you'll get notices with a failure to file a return. And usually those will have a penalty associated with it, but when you contact the IRS or the state agency, they will usually say, all right, tell you exactly what you need to fill out and send in. And then once you file that, you'll send them a letter requesting an abatement. And most of the time with the failure to file a 0 return, they just remove it. But to kind of piggyback a discussion off of that, with requesting an abatement, most state agencies and the IRS have a limit of 1 abatement in 3 years. So you want to make sure that that if you request an abatement, that you make sure that you follow all the rules for 3 years and have it requested one in the past. Because even if it's a really small, stupid thing, they will not give you an abatement if you've requested one in the last 3 years. All right. I have one from Elizabeth yesterday asking about providing certified payroll. And she has a government contractor that is subject to Davis-Bacon rates, and she needs a weekly report that is sent to the U.S. Department of Labor. I have not done certified payroll. I know in QuickBooks Desktop there are reports that you can pull that will provide most of, or if not all of the information for a certified payroll. On the rare occasion that I get asked for certified payroll, I have a couple of people in California that I refer those out to. Does anybody else have any more questions? Hopefully I'm answering everybody who's joined us live today. Hopefully I'm answering your questions and not leaving anybody confused. All right, well, I don't see any more huge questions in the group, and I'm not seeing any more questions in chat or anything, so I am going to stop the recording now.